Now with AI, people actually trust AI 5 times more than, say, a Google search. So they're more likely to convert based on what the AI has given them. So we used to say Google brings you skeptics, AI brings you converters. You kind of have to prove yourself in the market. So it's not just what's on your website and what story are you telling about yourself. It's actually what is everyone else saying. At the moment, the research shows 1 in 3 searches on Google will result in a click to a website. So the other 2, they don't actually go past Gemini's suggestions. So we believe that the B2B buyer has actually changed quite a lot in the last 6 years. We are seeing an increase in numbers coming from AI. And in fact, I think ChatGPT has recorded something like 1 billion searches per week. So that number's just going to keep on growing.
Work is changing. That's not a prediction anymore. It's just Tuesday. And the leaders doing it well aren't the ones with all the answers. They're the ones asking better questions. I'm Dave Kenyon, and this is Evolving Workforce. Today we're doing something a little different. Instead of talking about workforce systems or compliance, we're talking about what AI is doing to the way businesses are being found, chosen and trusted. And honestly, this might be the most immediately practical episode we've done because it affects every single organisation listening, whether they know it or not. My guest is Joana Inch, co-founder and head of digital strategy at Hat Media, a B2B marketing agency that works with tech and SaaS companies across Australia and globally. Jo has been in marketing for nearly 20 years, starting as a media buyer fresh out of university and building Hat Media into one of Australia's leading B2B strategy partners, winning Stevie Awards for innovation along the way. She also runs a hybrid team deliberately and has a lot to say about what that means for how people connect, work and grow. Jo, great to have you on the podcast.
Thanks, Dave. Pleasure to be here.
Great to have you on. Let's talk about Hat Media. You've been running Hat Media for over 11 years and watched the marketing transformation completely. What's the biggest shift that you're seeing right now?
Oh, I have to say AI. I know, no brainer, but AI is the biggest shift because it's happening right now. Having said that, in the past 11 years, there have actually been a lot of shifts. So it's not like this is the first one. If I take you back to 11 years ago when we started Hat Media, it was very much a Google AdWords agency. We did mainly Google Ads, SEO, that kind of stuff, helped our clients get found online. This was back in 2008, actually, and it was the same year that Facebook launched in Australia. So over time, we kind of had to adjust what we were doing from Google to then Facebook to then social media in general. And then past that, HubSpot came out. So this thing, inbound marketing and marketing automation, and, that was kind of the new jargon of the time. So we've had to adjust when we've gone through shifts as an agency quite a bit, from search to marketing automation to now AI marketing. So lots of shifts.
Now, you talk about the internet splitting into a human internet and an agent internet. What does that actually mean for businesses?
Well, there's 2 types of people now. The people that still do their own search and research, they don't generally use AI as much. So they'll still go on Google, Bing, they'll still go on socials, they'll still do their own research when it comes to choosing a business or a product or service. And then you've got the agent internet, which is a lot of us now are just simply asking AI, hey, what is the best business for this? Or what is the best product for that? And so essentially you have the agents bringing back to the human maybe the top 3 results, and hence, weeding out all the remaining research that would have historically been done by a human. So you've now got human versus agent, and that's essentially the split in the 2 different internets.
Interesting. And I suppose, when we look at, do we need even, to view websites now these days? Or is it, do we just grab the results from our LLM and go from there?
At the moment, the research shows 1 in 3 searches on Google will result in a click to a website. So the other 2, they don't actually go past Gemini's suggestions. or even, all the other LLM suggestions. And even though the LLMs will actually provide links in their answers and their results, however, people don't tend to click on those. So the zero-click acceleration at the moment is happening so much faster than what it used to be. It's only 1 in 3 searches that results in a click.
So let's dig into that a little bit more. So I've gone on and I'm looking for a pair of new runners. I get the top 3 runners. How do I then go and purchase those runners?
Well, let me ask you a question. So before AI days, if you did that in Google, would you check out a few different websites?
Yes.
You'd maybe go to Rebel, maybe go to Nike directly. Yeah, you do your research, right? Yeah. And then you might even read the reviews and kind of see what is the most visually appealing to you.
Yeah.
But you kind of make your own decision and you kind of come to some of these websites feeling a little bit skeptical. So, feeling like, oh, well, what do the reviews say about that one? And what do the reviews say about this one? Now with AI, people actually trust AI 5 times more than, say, a Google search. So they're more likely to convert based on what the AI has given them. So we used to say Google brings you skeptics, AI brings you converters, basically. So now you probably ask AI, hey, I need shoes that are really specific to, this problem I'm having with my feet, and maybe you're a runner, so you kind of describe exactly what your personalized experience is. And AI will come back and say, well, for this specific experience, these are my 3 suggestions. And more than likely, you're going to go, great, I trust it, because I know it has gone through thousands and thousands of web searches, of detail, of, reviews. It definitely does a lot more research than what a human would, and so you do tend to trust it a lot more.
Now, as many of our listeners are actually leaders of large workforces, does that apply when we're searching for business-to-business software as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So it doesn't matter what you're searching for. What we're seeing in general is that AI is heavily trusted. And also, the way people kind of interact with AI, they ask it questions, whereas with Google, they kind of put in 3 keyword phrases. And so AI generally answers those questions. It gives them a lot of evidence. It cites a lot of directories. And so in the world of business, just in the past year, we've probably had the last 3 leads that we had actually came from AI. We've not had too many, or we've had a reduced amount come from organic search and also Google Ads. So we are seeing an increase in numbers coming from AI. And in fact, I think ChatGPT has recorded something like 1 billion searches per week. So that number's just going to keep on growing. Wow,
that's huge. It's just exponential, isn't it? As we say, it's like the hockey stick. It's not so much, just a 45-degree angle up. It's very fast. Hey, so you termed the coin "prove it economy." Tell me what that means and what it means for leaders.
Prove it economy, it really just comes from the way AI cites you as a business. So if a human is looking at your business, they're kind of making an emotional decision. Maybe they like your brand, maybe they like the colors, the logo, the way the website looks. Maybe they like the pictures of the About Us team. They think, oh, these guys look friendly. They love the language in which you refer to yourself as, and hence they make a decision on that. With AI now making the decisions for the humans and bringing them, say, the top 3 results, when you consider how AI makes its decisions, you kind of have to prove yourself in the market. So it's not just what's on your website and what story are you telling about yourself. It's actually what is everyone else saying. So it'll look at Reddit. Have anyone said anything about this particular business? If you're in the industry of SaaS and tech, it might look at Capterra, G2, and have a look at the reviews there. It'll look at places like YouTube. Actually, it absolutely loves YouTube because, as you know, Gemini and YouTube, same company. And similarly, Reddit and LinkedIn are the other 2 that it looks at and trusts quite a bit. So if you want to be proven in the eyes of the AI agents, 3 of the platforms you need to consider: Reddit, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Wow, that's some good intel. Now, in terms of, you mentioned, let's dig in a little bit more to, you mentioned AI refers 5 times more than an organic search. Why is that?
Why is it trusted more?
Yeah.
I think it's just because people know how smart it is. I mean, having used it, you're kind of going, whoa, like I can't believe it was able to produce this. And so we're constantly impressed by what it can do. I mean, sometimes we get the AI slop and it's like, oh, start again. But in general, it is quite impressive. It's and you know for a fact that it looks at countless of pages and it looks at so much research. So I guess that's why you trust it, just like you trust an industry expert in your field with countless years of experience. They've learned a lot, they've read a lot. It's probably the same reason why we trust AI as well. And I think we trust it quite a bit because if you look at year-on-year data, like from 2024 to 2025, for example, search engine optimization clicks actually dropped by 34% and they all went to AI, and I think that number's just going to keep on growing.
Wow, that's a huge drop. There was a time there where I was thinking there's nothing that's going to knock off Google. Google seemed to absolutely dominate, and this thing really has come out of nowhere, really, and Google didn't see it coming either.
No, and I think Google's actually struggled a little bit with AI. They were probably, from what I'm hearing from all the AI godfathers and podcasts that I listen to, I think they were one of the first that invented it, but they wanted to kind of release it in a more ethical way, whereas all the others like OpenAI just kind of unleashed it onto the world. And yeah, I can see, even though it affects their Google ads, which would be their revenue, they still prioritize Gemini and try and give you, some good answers there.
So Hat Media, as you mentioned, got 3 leads through AI search recently. This wasn't a referral, this wasn't cold outreach. What happened when a business comes through? What did they say their experience was?
Yeah, this was actually really interesting because normally when we get a lead from, say, Google Ads or search engine optimization, we're able to track, we use HubSpot, so we're able to track their customer journey. So you actually see them going through a lot of pages on the website, like they'll end up on the home page and then they'll look at some case studies and then they'll look at the About Us page. And it's like 6 pages later, they'll maybe go to the Contact Us page and complete the form. Whereas with these 3 AI leads, they went to the home page, straight to the Contact Us page, done. So very small amount of time on the website. And we believe the reason for that is that they just trusted the AI and they thought, no need to do my own research on these guys. They come heavily recommended, so I'm just going to get in touch. That's
a very different experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very different, a very different buyer we're seeing now in terms of a B2B buyer. Now, what are organisations getting wrong when it comes to adapting to the new world?
I think a few things. So in our world of marketing, and this is not just AI, this is also COVID days. So we believe that the B2B buyer has actually changed quite a lot in the last 6 years, since 2020. So I think what a lot of businesses are getting wrong, and I'll mainly speak about the sales and marketing teams here because that's my experience. But for example, in B2B buyer groups, they're now at 6 to 10 people that you have to convince and be in the deal room and talk to and influence in order to get the deal across the line. And this, I'm referring to B2B enterprise here. But even in mid-sized organizations, there's maybe 4 people that you need to be talking to, whereas back in before 2020 days, there was maybe just 1 buyer, 1 champion that you needed to speak to. So I think what sales and marketing teams are getting wrong is just focusing on that 1 champion and thinking that the deal might get across the line with just that 1, whereas in fact, you've got to convince 4 to 6 to 10, depending on how big the organization is. That's the main one, actually. Yeah,
it's complex, isn't it? The having that buyer group that you've got to go after, and there's a lot of people and a lot of different needs that you're trying to cater to when you're marketing to them. Now, on Evolving Workforce, we like to play a couple of little games, and the first one's called Human versus AI, or Humans versus AI. Now, you run a hybrid team, team office 3 days, and then it's remote the rest. How is AI running through your marketing operation, and what should humans own in marketing right now, and what are they genuinely comfortable handing over to AI?
Yeah, great question. It's funny because we still think humans are so important. Like, we would never get rid of humans in place of AI, but instead what we'd love to do is empower our humans to be more productive, more efficient, and actually happier, because a lot of the tasks that AI has taken over is quite like mediocre, annoying tasks, like comparing data cells in a spreadsheet, for example. No human loves to do that, and nor should they. AI can do that now. I think the other one for us specifically is we do a lot of client reporting. So getting the numbers, brilliant. We need to know that. We're good at getting that. But then it takes hours, if not days, putting together these beautiful decks to represent to the clients, which the color of the decks is not valuable. However, it does look nice, and we do like to present it quite well. Now AI can design those decks in 15 minutes. So it's taken away really time-consuming tasks, and it's actually freed up the humans to be more creative, more strategic, and the most important one, have more time for client interactions.
That's a really different experience then, isn't it, from what they used to do when they used to go on Google and do all the comparing, and now they've jumped on your website and just been to 2 pages.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So what are organisations getting it wrong when it comes to adapting to this new world?
I think it's being too slow at adapting, and I this could be a challenge for bigger organisations. They're kind of just hoping that, if you're already optimized on Google, then generally AI would favor you as well. But we're actually seeing the opposite. We're seeing that AI doesn't really care much for the search engine optimization results. It's using completely different data sources to recommend what it recommends. And this is great for startups and small businesses that historically couldn't compete with those larger organizations. Now they have a chance, because if they do everything right and they get their AEO in order and their AIO in order, there's a few different jargons there in marketing, but essentially, if you focus on having prompts be delivered by AI to your target audience, that's a game changer for smaller businesses and for startups. And so what we're seeing with the larger organizations, the mistakes they're making is that they're not jumping onto it. They're just kind of business as usual and hope for the best. I think from a workforce point of view, what they're getting wrong and the mistakes they're making is that they're probably thinking that AI should be replacing humans, and I actually disagree with that. I think AI can definitely empower humans and have them do more with their time and be more productive, but I don't think they can replace humans just yet. So, you hear a lot of these tech companies, making all these redundancies, and then secretly they're having to rehire them back 3 months later. So I think, people are kind of jumping the gun a bit too quickly on that one and not realizing that actually we still need humans.
It's really interesting watching where this space is going. What you've talked about there makes me think, and the way I'm seeing it work as well, is it is that augmentation, it is that increased productivity. We still need to be making the decisions. There still needs to be humans there to run these companies.
Absolutely.
So we like to play a few little games on Evolving Workforce, and the first one is humans versus AI. Now, you run a hybrid team 3 days a week. The rest is remote. You're obviously using AI. What should humans own in marketing right now, and what should we let AI do?
Yeah. I think AI, again, it enhances the human. It makes us more productive. It allows us to outsource those really mediocre, energy-draining tasks that we just don't love to do, like comparing cells in a spreadsheet when we're looking at data, for example, or even for the non-designers out there, using AI to design a beautiful deck for you, but you've fed it all the data and the numbers and the big picture strategy, for example. I think, AI should definitely be used for that. I don't think it needs to replace humans. And also, one thing that's very important to us, because we work with SaaS and tech clients, is ISO, security, privacy, governance. And so one of the requirements is that a human always is at the end of every single agent action. So I think, the role of the human should be definitely work with AI, use it as a tool, use it like you would use any other tech and tool. However, don't let it replace your thinking, your strategic thinking. And also, you're the one that has to quality check everything at the very end of that action. That's a must, because we do know it makes mistakes and hallucinates sometimes. But actually, in our world, it's been really good because historically, in the world of agency, scope creep would be a big deal for agency. So it was always that clients would be trying to get more and more and more work, which was generally out of scope. So we'd have to kind of negotiate that. Whereas now, because we are so productive and efficient, we're actually going to clients and offering, like, we're going to do this for you, even though it's not in the scope, because we've got extra time. So it's been a game changer, and it's really allowed us to give more service, give more value, and grow that relationship with our clients. And I think that's how businesses should be using it.
Yeah, that's great that you're able to do that, Jo. And I think it's also a testament to you at Hat Media. Bit of a plug there for you and your business.
Thank
you. Full disclosure, we do use you as our marketing agency, and you've been amazing.
Thanks, Dave.
But I think that's also, speaks to the competency that you've got there as well. Hey, our next little game is Change Your Mind. Now, you almost landed on hybrid by accident, but I think it was before COVID, wasn't it, that you landed on it? What have you genuinely learned about this and the balance should look like, particularly for younger people starting out?
Absolutely. I think if there's one thing COVID delivered as a positive, it's the hybrid work situation. Because it's so good for, say, parents, for example, but also just for people in general that already have that experience, that expertise. They know what they need to do. So maybe having 1 to 2 days where they're working from home just allows them to feel like they're getting that work-life balance, which is really important. It allows parents to collect their kids from school and then get back to work, perhaps. It allows us to do our laundry whilst we're working at the same time. So I think it's really made our life more efficient. And I actually hear from so many people, they say, I'm actually more productive at home than in the office, because in the office I'm always chatting to everybody. So I think having that hybrid environment allows people to, one, feel that work-life balance and actually feel happy working for that company, and two, coming into the office and still having that learning and collaborative environment. So, hybrid's been amazing. I think every organization should do it. I think for companies that are saying you must come in 5 days a week, they're just going to lose the best people.
I totally agree. Hybrid has been amazing. So the last game is called a prediction and a warning. One prediction, one warning. What prediction do you have in terms of marketing and AI?
Oh, I might cheat and steal Gartner's one because it's so hard to predict AI and where it might go. But Gartner actually thinks that AI is going to take 25% of SEO's traffic. At the moment, I think it's quite small. So a lot of businesses are reporting that the traffic that they get from AI is 1%. I think that's going to turn into 25% for the good ones that are actually cited by AI. So I'm going to steal that prediction and say that's where it's headed. I think more and more people are going to use AI and AI agents to discover things, find businesses, find products, and just trust it more in general. So that's it.
And one warning for the future.
The warning would be to every organization hoping this kind of quietly goes away. It's not going to. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hype about it, but I also think, people aren't going to stop using it. And if anything, more and more people will start using it. If we look at the way people adopt technology, you of course have your innovators and early adopters, and then you have the mainstream, which I think is where we're at right now. We're in the mainstream. And what's about to happen is all the laggards are going to start using it. I mean, my parents have started using it now. My dad sends me all this research on ChatGPT, and I'm like, I know. So I think in time, you're just going to see way more consumption and adoption and usage. And so the warning would be anyone out there that hasn't done an AEO audit just yet and doesn't quite understand or know how AIs are looking at your business, absolutely get started right now, because you'll be left behind otherwise.
Now, we should just talk about the acronyms that we've used in this podcast.
Yes.
AEO, AIO, SEO.
Mm-hmm. So SEO, as you know, is search engine optimization. I think most businesses understand that one. The new one's actually AEO, was coined by HubSpot, and it's answer engine optimization. And then AIO is really just a spin on SEO, but using AI optimization. So excuse the jargon. I am in the world of marketing. I can't help it.
Yeah, it's very easy to fall into it. So tell me, what do leaders need to know about marketing and AI that from this podcast that we should really be covering that you haven't covered as yet?
Yeah, I think leaders in general that have a team underneath them and that are encouraging their workforce to be using AI, what we're seeing is that a lot of leaders are doing that. They are actually saying, hey, everyone should be using AI and, go for it. But what they're not doing is actually creating KPIs around it and actually creating specific courses and giving their employees time to take those courses around AI. I think they're kind of just saying, yep, we're pro AI, and they're hoping for the best. And I know some of the biggest organizations and banks are even guilty of this. They're pro AI, but they do nothing around training or coaching or, providing the time for their employees to do that. We've started to shift that at Hat Media. We now have, an hour a week, Wednesday morning, where we just want you to look at, Claude's Academy, for example, and just learn something in AI that you don't already know. So we think it's my message to leaders would be that, have a plan, have a strategy, have some goals and KPIs, make it fun and make it into a game, like you would with your salespeople, where you got to hit specific sales targets. Actually, I think one of the board level metrics to come would be how are we being found by AI agents. So, I think that's one to look out for.
That's a great message. Well, thank you so much, Jo, for being on Evolving Workforce. Some terrific insights and some really interesting stuff for us to look out for to come. And perhaps we'll be having a very different conversation maybe in a year or so.
Look forward to it. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Thanks
Loved
very
it.
much, Jo. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Evolving Workforce was proudly brought to you by OHI, specialists in workforce management, award interpretation and payroll compliance, delivering new certainty. This podcast was recorded on the land of the Gadigal people. If you enjoyed this podcast, why not send to a friend or a colleague? And remember to hit follow on your podcast player to get every episode as they drop every Wednesday. Thanks for listening. I've been Dave Kenyon, and this is Evolving Workforce.